Hey guys, Draco here with some more lore tower with some glitchy rain added in for extra weirdness. I don't know why it's like this. Textures! Yeah. Anyway, as you can see, yeah, we're doing the lore tower again for the final episode. For now, this is basically the end of the season 1 stuff and the stuff that will be handy to know going into season 2. Yeah, it's something. And yeah, so we got all the this is the end. And yeah, once again, like, comment, subscribe down and comment down below whether you like the Allure Towers being in this more direct and fourth wall breaking style, or in the way we had done it from in the first 3 episodes with the chaos. Alright, and being a minute in, let's get started. Alright, so basically, this is the Heroes floor. It's got a lot of characters, and yeah. And it's also got a banner for each thing, because, yeah, we need it. I thought it'd be a little interesting to have a banner, because there's a lot more in this floor, as you can see. And yeah, so I'll explain the banners, and then go through the books fairly quickly as we go, because this is long. Alright, the first is Draco's book with his banner being the banner of the House of Wolves. I would make it better, but I did the best with Minecraft textures that I could. And yeah. So basically, it's like a wiki document. So his full name is Draco Loxwind. He is a human. He is 21 years old as of season 1, episode 1, because this is made in context of that, but also to the end of season 1, and it's a mess. Anyway, he was a guard apprentice. He's obviously male. He was a guard apprentice and a guard, but now he is a head guard. He is a head guard for Hunter's Vale, which is in question mark, because they don't know they're in Lycaos, but it's Lycaos. So yeah, because there's no kingdoms. Whoa. Anyway, so his relations are his grandfather, Garth, who was actually a guard. His adopted mother is Errol Loxwind. His father's name is Heinrich, well, adoptive father. And 4 unnamed adoptive siblings, who are pretty much all non-humans, except for, I think, 1 or 2. Basically, yeah. And his friends are Storm and William and the Jim Clan, and his enemies are Jimmy, Shedroth, and the cursed pufferfish. They are evil! Anyway, so now we go on to the biography, which is basically a life story up until the start of season 1. And their backstory. Yeah, Draco is the adopted first son of Heinrich and Sarah Loxwind, and a member of the House of Wolves, which is basically the Loxwind family, and also the former heads of the Wolflands, which you'll learn about that in a bit, and all who are also historically one of the descendants of one of the elder princes. So yeah, if you remember last episode of this, yeah, you know those people now. Draco was trained hard from a young age by his mother as her apprentice until he left for the Guard Academy at 16 and returned a few years later, graduating bottom of his class for unknown reasons, regardless of the fact that he's actually supposed to be a really top-notch physical fighter, which you'll learn about that later on as well. Not in this video, though. He was assigned to his home of Wolfclaw, and Draco, in the process, was forced to return home, a mockery of his family name, because he graduated bottom of his class. And he basically spent the next 2 years of his life in misery, a disappointment to his family, laughingstock among his peers, and yeah, it was true pain in itself. This would change one night when he mysteriously vanished without a trace and would find himself in the ruins of the abandoned village of Hunter's Vale by the next morning. And I also added a little end statement saying his chapter may seem ended here, but it is just beginning, along with those of many others. This is not his story alone. Yeah, sum it up. He grew up adopted by a guard in her family. Heinrich's a smith, and yeah, he went to become a guard and came home an absolute mockery, quote unquote. Even though he's actually supposed to be a good fighter. I say that because it's Mary, and yeah. Anyway, on to the next. We got the book of Jimbo, with his little banner being that of the Jim clan. And yeah, his full name is Jimbo the Fisherman. And his race is that he's technically 132nd Andarian and the rest is human. Andarians, that's basically what Jim is. He's a full Andarian, and then for 500 years after that, they remained full Andarian, and then they started dating humans, and over time, it got to this point. And yes, I did the math. It's horrific. He's technically E97, but as people who watch the finale know, he's younger now, or even if you watch the side stories. And yeah, now he's 42. He's a good old youngin' again. The glory of being sick and trying to do voices. Anyway, obviously he's a male. He used to live in Hookwall in Dragonhold, which you'll learn about that. And but now he lives in Hunter's Vale, as he is now the chief of Hunter's Vale. But he's also a kind fisherman. And to basically explain it, basically the whole epithet thing, like the and then whatever at the end of Jimbo or any of the Jim clan's names, that's basically whatever professional thing they did. So Jimbo, he is a fisherman, and a big one at that. So he became known as Jimbo the Fisherman. Plus, I thought it'd be well, that's my in-lore explanation, but in reality, it was just kind of funny with the thought of an old man named Jimbo the Fisherman, who was a villager. Just yeah, and yeah, Jim is his ancestor. He had a wife, but she died, and I didn't want to name her yet. Also, because I couldn't think of a female Jim name. But then he had 4 sons: Jimmer, James, Jimsworth, and Jimmy. And then his friends are the House of Wolves, which is basically Draco and his family, and Storm, while his enemies are Shadroth and zombies, because one bit him and the other is an evil dark spirit. So yeah. And he is probably one of the longer ones. Jimbo is, to say the least, a strange character, literally. He's the patriarch of the Jim clan. He is one of the only remaining people with Andarian ancestry. Andarians basically being magic water people. That's the best way I can describe it. Magic water people. And the only others being his own sons. Meaning he's basically Aang, but for water. And he can't do shit. He's an old man and because who has an entire culture on his back. Anyway, so this ancestry leads Jimbo, and by proxy his descendants, having an immense longevity in connection to the sea spirit, the moon spirit, Karain. And yeah, that basically means he could live for a couple hundred years. Or, well, actually, it just means that he would live longer. If he were full-blooded, he'd be basically immortal. But he's not. Anyway, Jimbo moved his family from Hookwall to Hunter's Vale by chance 30 years before the arrival of Draco. So 30 years before the series started. And perceiving an event to occur there that would change the course of history. Draco arriving. And has been waiting there for the opportunity ever since. Over the years, Jimbo gained a proficiency for fishing and survives off it among the ruins. When Jimbo started entering his older years, his sons traveled away for various purposes. Jimsworth returned the hook wall in which he became a court mage, so he became Jimsworth the mage. James studied at or Jimsworth the scholar. Either way, yeah. James studied at the University for Scientific Study of Magi. Basically, scientists who study magic. But they're not mages or wizards in themselves. Anyway, so eventually returning to search for Rouse, who you have met. Jimmer became a priest of the Fates and Zephyr's champion, although he abandoned the Fates because of his own beliefs. You'll see. And Jimmy searched for a way into the Nether to free Shedroth under the guise of study. This series of apparent abandonment and death eventually led to Jimbo becoming extremely senile or crazy, persisting after an incident with an incident with an enchanted apple that reverted his age. Basically, watch the finale if you want to know the explanation behind that one. And then even his end card is, even if he seems crazy and lost, he may be the one to rise to the challenge of chiefdom. Yeah. Basically, he's an old man. He's a fisherman. His sons left him, and so he went crazy from being alone in ruins for several years, thinking either all of his family either died or left him alone in the world. And, yeah. And then he met Draco, and things hit the fan, and he became a young old man again. A young old man. That's a funny thought. Anyway, since we're not even halfway through, oh god. I might have to do this 2 parts. In fact, that is probably the plan, but yeah. But yeah, so on we go to Storm, and his banner is the House of Rain, which you'll see why in a bit. So Storm, surname unknown. Yeah. He's a male. He has no occupation, although technically he's going to become an ambassador for the village. He's kind of that person. He's from Turtle Bay in Lycaos, but now he lives in Hunter's Vale in Lycaos. His only relative is his brother, Hurricane. And I made a joke saying their father was Typhoon, or something like that. And his friends are Draco, Jimbo, and Jimmer, and his enemies are Jimmy and Governor Slogger, who is basically the one ruling over his village. Alright, here we go. So, with his parents dead at a young age, Storm was raised by his older brother, Hurricane. With Hurricane's job as ambassador, they lived peacefully in the backwater village of Turtle Bay. This peace would not last long, however, when the Raven Collective attacked. When everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Oh boy. Anyway, they attacked this village, and they killed Hurricane and the rest of the council of Turtle Bay, and basically took over shit, leading to Storm becoming a refugee, and he fled, living a life of fleeing and monotony, which basically means he did basically the same stuff over and over again just to live, and while also running away. He would eventually find the village of Hunter's Vale and meet Jimbo, and the change in his life would culminate in him meeting Draco, and his life would be changed forever. In his end card, though it may appear like Storm's story is grim and doomed to end soon, there may yet be a chance for him. Yeah, basically, he lived his life doing virtually nothing in his village while his brother worked as ambassador, and then everything changed when a Raven Collective attacked. And he was forced to run away while the only family he knew, along with the rest of the council of his village, were slaughtered. Yeah, this series went dark fast, even though it kind of doesn't execute it well. Yeah. And Storm is... H card. Well, yeah, Storm is about 16, 17, I think. He's younger than Draco. That's all you need to know. Yeah. Anyway, off to the fourth book, and we're already crossing. This is why we needed 2 parts, because the others are more. Yeah. I might be able to do more. We'll see. But yeah, so on to Jimmer, and his banner is, of course, the banner of the Order of the Fates, and yeah. His name is Jimmer the Nomad. He is 1/64th Endarian, and the rest is human. And he's 32 years old. So yeah, he's a bit older. He was a priest of the Fates, but now he's a priest of the Spirits, aka the Spirits Templar. He lives in the Sky Tower in Hunter's Vale in Lycaos, which basically is because he lives in the ruins of Zephyra's temple, which is basically called the Sky Tower, because it's just one tower. And his relations are the Jim clan, because they're his family. And then his friends are Draco, Storm, William, and his enemies are Jimmy, Shedroth, and Necromancers. Then we get on to the short one. Jimmer is the second son of Jimbo, the fisherman, and a member of the Jim clan. He lived most of his life with his father and brothers, till he, along with his brothers, went on a pilgrimage to the Empire in order to study their particular field, Jimmer's being as a priest of the Order of the Fates. After years of feeling lost, though, he decided to return home, and he ended up taking residence in the ruins of Zephyra's temple, becoming her champion. His epithet is the Nomad, but what might that mean? And I kind of... yeah. And now we're on to William. We might have enough time with the fact that, well, you'll see. And William's thing is his banner is of the House of Foxes. And if anyone wants to do art, that is your choice. But yeah, so memes. Here we go. Ignore that. Creative! Yeah! Now there's a hole in the tower. Anyway, so yeah. House of Foxes because he is a werefox. Let's see. William Fredrickson is a werefox who's a male. He's a doctor, and he used to live in Deadrock Valley, in a village named Deadrock Valley, in Lycaos, which you'll be introduced to sometime. And then he now lives in Hunter's Vale in Lycaos. His relatives are unknown, but you can probably figure it out, or sometime. His friends are unknown, because he doesn't like to talk about them, and his enemies are unknown. He is truly a force to be reckoned with. Our one friend is Draco, because obviousness. His age, he's 22 years old, so he's actually only 1 year older than Draco. And he was born and raised in Deadrock Valley. So, yeah. Born and raised in Deadrock Valley, young William aspired to become a doctor in the hopes of curing diseases believed to be uncurable. He made many discoveries as a young teenager, and decided to set his mind to furthering his medicinal knowledge, which led him to leave his beloved home. He stumbled upon Hunter's Vale, where everything felt off. He decided to stay for the time being, and he would search for the reason in the village was so barren. And then his end card is, while he seems abrupt and alone, he may find friends among the ruins. And basically, to sum it up, he became a doctor, and while the book says he made multiple discoveries, you gotta also consider he's from a backwoods village, and he basically just got caught everyone in his village up to speed on what everyone else everywhere else was. So while technically he's actually a really good doctor, who actually is among the best, at the same time he's still just a good doctor and nothing really revolutionary. Either way, yeah, he's a wereflox, which basically is like a werewolf, but a fox. If you all know Hyper, and see my videos with him, you could probably see why that is. And anyway, oh shoot. Yeah, memes. Things are chaotic. Like, we've got maybe a couple books left, and I know this is gonna be a longer video, but fuck it. As we move on to the last really long one, and this is James, whose banner is that of the University of the Scientific Study of Magi. Basically, to explain that, he's a scientist who studies magic and magical people. And there are many of them. As in many of these scientists and magic users. But here we go. His name is James the Ember. His race was the same as Jimmer because I was too lazy to write it again. He's 31 years old, meaning he's actually 1 year younger than Jimmer. He's male, he's a scientist, and he lives in Hunter's Vale, question mark. His relations are the Gem Clan, and his friends are Draco and other scientists. Yeah. And his enemies are obviously Jimmy, Shadroth, Undead, and Amnesia. Oh boy. And his biography is this. James from a scholar. If y'all know the story, you could probably guess why. Is a scientist and a member of the Gem Clan. He is Jimbo's third son, and he lived with his family for several years with his family. Tired Draco riding until he went on a pilgrimage with his brothers, becoming a scientist. James believes in the Spirits Templar, specifically Farouse, studying the history of the religion, spirits, and their connection to the worlds. He spent several years living with his brother Jimmy while trying to find a way to get into the Nether. He would succeed in part to Jimmy trying to release Shadroth from the Star of Corruption, which, yeah. And on the two of them opening the Nether portal, Jimmy knocked him into the Nether, leaving him there, stranded there for over 5 years. Basically, Jimmy tried to open the portal to get to Shadroth to free him, because as we know, the Star was in the Nether. So yeah. And then to knock Shadroth out, to knock Farouse out of the way, because Jimmy was like, oh shoot, I have to fight a fire spirit who has all power over fire in the sun and burning in hot death. I'll let my brother go first. Yoink! Kicked him in and ran away. And yeah, so he was stuck becoming a temporary vessel for Farouse, because Farouse thought he could handle it because he was a good follower, but it turns out that that James is a terrible host for spirits, and the stress caused by it left him with it, aka loss of memory. Which is why he comes out of the Nether with a couple screws loose when he meets Draco. Farouse released him, and he escaped when the portal reopened, and William was pulled in by Shadroth, thinking it was Jimmy, which gave Farouse a new vessel because of some stuff with how Shadroth works. And this culminated in him meeting Draco, aka episode 5 of the season 1. And his end card is he's got some issues and a lot of time to make up for, but he's ready to help our heroes and bring justice to his brother. Basically, he wants to kick Jimmy's butt because Jimmy kicked him into the nether. It left him stranded there. And then we get to this mysterious mage character who I have not written yet, really. His or her banner, I should say, but I wrote it from a him standpoint, is of basically the Magic College age, that kind of group. Magic school, yeah, that exists. So everything about him or her is unknown. Their name is unknown, their race is unknown, their gender is unknown. They're a mage, but we don't know where they live, but they'll eventually live in Huntersvale. We don't know who they're related to, we don't know their friends, we don't know their enemies, we don't even know how old they are. They could be an old man, or they could be a young child. And then this individual is unknown to the tower at this time. Basically, I haven't written him yet. Or her. And yeah, what can be found is that they are a mage who will eventually take residence in the upstart village of Huntersvale. Who could this person be? A good question for myself, as I should probably write him soon. Or her. Then we get on to the final book, which is literally just a atlas thing. Basically telling you what's on what continent, and what's in what cities are in what countries, are in what continents, and their capitals. In Nermenos, we've got Dragonhold with a lot of minor regions with capital cities. The first of which being Old Varkothia with Kingshold as its main seat. Then we got Raven's Watch with Raven's Keep, Rowan's Razor with Centerhold, Vendel with Vendel, Smallhold with Lilfort, the Wolflands with Wolfclaw, the Tooth with Fangshold, the Northlands with Icehold, Eastlands with Beacon, Sealands with Hookwall, and the Hammer Hills with Corax Point. And Dragonhold's capital is Kingshold. For those of you wondering why is it called Kingshold when it's an empire, go look at the last episode of the of Lore Tower. Then we got the Orc Territory with various villages. That's unknown what its capital is. The Forest Kingdoms, which are various cities, because it's basically it's got everything, kingdoms ranging from elves to centaurs to even in trolls. If it lives in a forest and it's got its own kingdom, I include it in that chunk. And that's why it's got various capitals. And then we got Giant Territory, which is various nomadic tribes, which it has none because it's just a bunch of nomads, who are war-torn and bloody. Very, very bloody. Then we got the Vampire Territory, which has various fortresses, and their capital is Nighthaven. And then we got the Dwarven Conglomerate, which has various undercities. Basically, cities that are underground. And their capital is called the Citadel. And we got Wild Country, which has no capital, because it's just the wilderness with a bunch of barbarians and whatnot. Going on 30 minutes, we got the continent of Dinrakai, which has various oases, and islands. But and its one kingdom is called the Arena. I have planned out is called the Arena, and its capital is Diamantes, which means diamonds. And then we've got the continent of Nelfor, which is various swamps and mud lakes. And it has a city called the City of Cord, but it's in ruins. It's got no capital. And then we got Lycaos with just Hunter's Vale, Turtle Bay, and question mark, which is Dead Rock Valley. So yeah, that exists. This has been long. Thank you all for suffering through this long video. Thank you for keeping up to date and watching this somewhat long series. And yeah, have a good day. Merry Christmas, cause this is recorded around Christmas. And yeah, Draco out.